Therefore shall a man leave his father and his mother, and shall cleave unto his wife, and they shall be one flesh.
Yeah, see the part, cleave to his wife, there shall be one flesh. That means one woman for every man. Everybody see that? One woman for every man. Everybody see that? One woman for every man. Everybody see that?
And in that day, 7 women shall take hold of one man.
So if you notice, it's saying in that day, right? So it's a debate amongst Israel to say we're in that day. When you look at our forefathers, we were in rulership during the time that we had multiple wives.
Right.
Right? Are we in rulership now? No. Right. If you look at your money, your slave master's on it, and he hates you.
Right.
You don't have no military. You got to go to Food Max to get your food from your enemy.
We teach the proper understanding in marriage. It shouldn't be that way. You should wait until you get the papers and stuff. You should wait until you get the papers and stuff. You should wait until you get the papers and stuff.
That Deuteronomy, it's talking about food and raiment shall not diminish. What is it if you take a second wife? Because if you got one wife and you taking care of her, you can't treat the other wife different. You got to make sure you're taking care of this sister, because if not, you're going to put spirits on her.
Everybody knows, and now you get some guidance and the thing. That's why we tell you, brothers, first seek counsel about it. Hey, I'm thinking of talking to this sister. Sisters, I'm thinking of talking to you. We might know things about that brother that you don't know.
Right, it's to be nosy. It's because we want to make sure that if it's you know what you're getting into and vice versa.
We were in rulership during the time that we had multiple wives.
Right.
During the time that we had multiple wives.
Right.
Multiple wives.
Right.
I want to give all the praises and the honor to Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai Bahashem, Recha HaKodash, and double honors to the elder apostles and bishops of Great Millstone. Honors as well to you other elders and brethren. Shalom to you other believers and supporters of this truth, and shalom to the elect. So anyway, the IUIC, I don't know what I'll title it. The IUIC is a bunch of liars and seducers, right? And the reason why I say that, and this is why I put the 2 clips in there, because what Bishop Nathaniel's teaching is contrary to what he's teaching, you know. So one minute he reads the scripture, a man shall leave his house, right, to cleave to his wife, and they shall be one, which is true. But that doesn't mean he didn't have other women, if he so desired. And he knows this, because he just read out of Exodus, when we go back to the other clip, Exodus 22 and 11, and one man committed, no, that's not that one, Exodus 21 and 10. If he take him, let me go to 21 and 9, maybe there's more to it. Get to the point. And if she please, let me go to 9. And if he have betrothed her unto his son, he shall deal with her after the manner of the daughters. If he take him another wife, her food, her raiment, and her duty of marriage shall not diminish. So how did this man know that if a man taketh him another wife, that he won't treat the other wife the right way? Now, true, you have some of these guys in this school with this matchmaking and getting in each other's business, right? As they're acting like they're the Holy Spirit themselves, right? They act like they're the Messiah themselves, you know? And they're going to fix your relationship for you. Yeah. All right. And you know, today, and then he brings out the fact that you got to be able to take care of the woman. Well, here it is in 2022. Women are taking care of their damn self, man. What the hell is he talking about? You see how they try to keep the so-called old tradition, but then they got them, they're hooking the men up with those women and those women, some of them probably got pretty good jobs, and they're funding them schools. I guarantee you it's women. Let me say I believe, I can't prove it, but a lot of women in those schools is ones bringing their money in them schools. So if you're a man and a woman, she has her own. We just read this, and let's go to Isaiah 4:1. We're going to jump on that real quick. It says, and in that day 7 women shall take hold of one man, saying, we will eat our own bread. We can see this like right now, where women pretty much have their own thing covered, right? Now he's saying in that day we got a dispute amongst the Israelites. In that day, we're not in that day, so you can't do it. Well, that day is talking about a whole lot more women than you might see now. It still doesn't mean that there won't be women now, right? That a man might not have. A man might have more than one wife now. He might have 2 wives now, maybe 3. But in that day, 7 is a number. So he might have 10, 15 wives. I don't know. This is crazy how they flip on and off laws. Where is it in the law that say once you under captivity, you're only supposed to have 1 wife? What if you can afford more than 1 wife? This is what they teach though, man. But then you go to the story of Rehoboam, right? And was it 2 Chronicles, right? Let me get that real quick. We go in the story, we go in that story, and we see, let me get that real quick, because this is crazy. What they're doing is they're flipping on and off the laws. They're liars and seducers. They're making up their own, doctrine inside that school, right? They're making up their own doctrine. There's nowhere in the law that states a man is only supposed to have more than 1 wife. And we'll get to that with the letters of Paul again. There's nowhere that states that, right? So in 1 minute, we're in captivity, and he says you're only supposed to have 1 wife. But when the Lord returns, or let me say when the trouble happens and hell starts breaking loose in that day, then a man's going to have, and they teach, I think that day is in the kingdom of heaven, then a man's going to have more than 1 wife. Make that make sense. Is either the Lord is with it or he's against it. But these guys in the HODC teach the same damn thing. And Rehoboam loved Maacah, the daughter of Absalom, above all his wives and concubines. For he took 18 wives, 80 concubines, and begat 20 and 8 sons and 80 daughters. So you will have, even to the day, a man might not be able to afford 5 wives, but in today's time, women are pretty much taking care of themselves. They have the money. For whatever reason, he wants to make it seem like the man has to take care of all these. Well, what you're supposed to take care of your wife. I'm not saying that, but we're in a time now where there's 2 incomes coming in the house. If women please to be with a man, then that's so be it. Who is you to get in people's business, and then they going back and forth in people's business to see who, their business, to see what's going on in their relationships. If you're talking about occultic, then that's occultic. Let's go to the precept of Isaiah 4:1, right? The precept is Isaiah 13:12. This is actually the precept. I will make man more precious than fine gold, even the man that's golden wedge of Ophir. So you're going to have the elect who will be made more precious. And when you're made more precious, you will shine, and you will have women. But for whatever reason, I can see if they're a Christian. That's why I say this is the most deceptive group. I can see if they saying, well, that's Christianity. That happened in before 70 AD, because everything's 70 AD with Christians, right? Or in ancient times or whatever. That's not going to happen now. This is crazy, man. That's why we know these guys took the bag to neuter Jake, because it doesn't fit the agenda. Now, I'm not saying it's a good idea to take multiple wives. It's probably almost not a good idea for one if it's certain women, but hey, man, you can't make that a doctrine. Let's go to 1 Timothy 3 and 2. Let's go to 1 Timothy 3 and 2. A bishop must be blameless, the husband of one wife, vigilant, sober, good behavior, giving hospitality, apt to teach. Right? So it says a bishop must be blameless, the husband of one wife. So we're going to go into that. You remember when Paul said, I say this, I, not the Lord, when you read the scriptures of the duties of marriage, because he was quoting against the Pharisees about the law, because they were saying the law states that if the woman is an unbeliever, you have to get rid of her. And this is what Iuic and them teach as well. If the husband is an unbeliever, you must get rid of him after about 6 months to a year. That's what they teach. But Paul, really these guys are Paul bashers, and that's why it makes sense that Sakari, even though they believe in multiple wives and the Iuic don't, they still unite together, right? Because they still got that energy, that negative energy against Apostle Paul. You know, our people lost our identity, you know, the siege of Jerusalem, and we scattered, and our people lost our identity. So it wasn't, and this is why Yahushua said, except for adultery, you put away that woman. Right? Which Yahushua never went around rebuking men for having more than one wife. They never seen that either. But he rebuked that heathen woman at the well. Anyway, that's what they do though, man. So Paul, they would have had an issue with Paul. Paul said the unbelieving husband and unbelieving wife. But they're telling you to get rid of them if they don't believe. Now, Paul was saying in the hopes that they would believe. But what if they don't? You can't get rid of her unless for adultery. You know, and vice versa. If a woman's pleasing to dwell with you, you just can't get rid of her. And she's not supposed to leave you. Anyway, let's go back into here. And I'm going to go to some commentary like I always do when it comes to this. A bishop must be blameless, the husband of one wife. You know why it said that? Let's read some commentary. Why did it say that? Technically, under the administrative duties of a bishop, it was adultery going on. And really, when Paul was saying that, it's because of the women who were messing with several men. And if he would go into, he was just cleaning up the church. This was not for Israel, but when it came as far as for the church, if a bishop decided, that's why he said the bishop must be blameless. He didn't say everybody else. You know, he didn't say they was only supposed to have one wife. He said the bishop. But why did he say it? You know, because of the acts of adultery that was going on in the church between the husband and wives. But by the time these women, you know how women are, they want to work their way up to the top. They would sleep their way up to the top, and then some of the men would get rid of them if they found out about them, or they want to just get another woman. Then they would try to make their way up to the bishop. But by the time they got to the bishop, they would have like damn near 10 husbands. That's why it says the husband of one wife. That's why it said that. But of course, universal writing, you know, they had to implicate that and put that in there. When you go to the Old Testament, the old scriptures, old Bibles, it just says the husband of a wife. Right? Anyway, I'm going to read this real quick. Paul alludes to the incidents no longer looked upon shameful in Rome. He, even in the indignation at the laxity, the morals of the day, cites cases of women who reckon their years rather by their husbands than by the consuls, right? Marshall writes of women who had arrived at her 10th husband, right? In 5 years, had 8 husbands, a woman in 5 years who had 8 husbands. Among the Jews, we know polygamy was very prevalent. Let me go on down. There's a lot to read on here, so I'm going to just read the points. Many converts to Christianity would have more than one wife, they are nowhere commanded to put away all but one, right? So, and these were bishops that would make up to bishopship, so to speak. If a bishop had 5 wives, they wouldn't deny him the role of a bishop. He would just have to, he couldn't put away the wives he had, right? So he couldn't remarry any more women. And then the women, those women that was in those churches, it was so confusing that they already had 10 husbands by the time a bishop would marry one. They was ran through. Hey, 2024. It says, Timothy 5:10, need cause no difficulty. Then as now many women would change her partner, and with or without a so-called remarriage, and feel no scruple so long as she was faithful to the new partner. Does this sound familiar? And this is what's going on in the IUIC. We already seen the example of it. I always believed it. They always cover it up and they hide behind those long videos, right? But we can see this is what goes on. The same thing that went on back then, right? This is why, and when you teach something like that, now the man feels guilty for messing with another woman on his so-called wife. You just made man and woman equal. Woman was created for the man. Now the man is all guilty. I didn't mess around. Where's that in the law? Adultery is a man that messes with another woman on his wife. And we see Sarah, who gave Hagar, his wife, and the Lord condoned it. If that was a wicked act, why would the Lord condone such a wicked act? And why, since it was done normally, the reason why it doesn't say all the men that had done, because it was normal. If you heard of a man that had 10 wives right now, you'd be shocked. But back then, it was a normal thing. If he had 2 wives, if he had 1, that was fine. Nobody says you have to get 2, 3, 4 wives. Some men is content with 1 wife. But you see what happens, man. These guys are making it up as they go along. When you read Exodus, the 2nd chapter, it speaks of how, what's his name? When Joseph died, the Pharaoh Ramses II, I believe, and he put hell on the Israelites. And what did they do? They multiplied. And you heard this guy say, the purpose of more than 1 wife is multiplying. I mean, come on, man. Women are for pleasure, not just some multiplying machines, man. That part is true, but it's not just that. And what did they do in their captivity? Read Exodus 2. They multiplied when the Pharaoh put hell on them. Well, how did they multiply with only 1 wife? But Bishop Nathaniel teaches in captivity, you only supposed to have 1 wife. This is why this man rides in on a horse and claims himself to be God. Because he is. He's a false God. He's a false idol. That's why he does that. Now, Christians don't believe us in that, but this man is making doctrine. He's a seducer, right? He's a seducer of doctrine. Let me look that up real quick. That's what this man is. I don't know exactly what translation this is. I just pulled it up. Revelation 22:14. Let me see. This is the Berean Bible. I'm just going to read it. It's pretty much the same thing. Blessed are those, 23 and 14. Where are we at? Blessed are those who wash their robes, so that they may have the right to the tree of life and may enter into the city by its gates. But outside are dogs and sorcerers. And sorcerers go back to people who lead astray, right? Sorcerers and whoremongers, the murderers and idolaters, even sexually immoral, man. You going in and telling people how to do what with their wives. All this madness and claiming they're fixing people, man. That's what they teach. They're about doing something for the community and fixing people. That shit's all an act. That's what the word hypocrite means, man. It means actor. Right? Murderers, right? Everything going in this school. Idolatry. Everyone who loves practices of falsehood, man. There's nowhere in the scriptures that say a man is only supposed to have one wife. And then it's illegal, but somehow Paul came and changed it, something that the Lord condoned years in ancient time. But now the Lord decided, nope, I don't believe it no more. But then these guys teach, yeah, but when the kingdom comes, then we're going to have more than one wife. See, these are sneaky snakes, man. See, they think they can hold to one master, but they're going to sneak their way through the other door, as Yahushua talked about, the porter in the door, and then they're going to uphold the laws of how it's supposed to be when the kingdom comes. These are sneaky jakes, man. Sneaky purple Israelites, man. That's all I want to add. Shalom.